Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a Premier League presentation, bringing you guys a game between Fnatic and 3D Clan. So this is the third game in this best of three series, and it's been 1-1 on both ends, obviously, for the fact that it's game 3. We're seeing an interesting draft right off the bat, as we saw a lot of potential late-game lifestealer play, Era getting that once more, and Keep It Light to support him, but in the hands of 3D Clan, something a lot more dynamic. How do you feel about these?
Well, I think that, if you have to go and play against Snakes, the two heroes that I would really want are that Shadow Demon and the Bat Rider. Both of their ultimates going right through that BKB, right through that Rage. It makes them very effective. But I really hesitate these days to go and give the advantage to the team without the Keeper of the Light. That hero is so strong in the laning phase and is able to get a ton of farm, is able to be your mech carry, allow your solo lanes to go for different items, does a ton of damage, sustains your mana pool, and, Blinding Light in the late game against a right-click carry is really dangerous. It forces the carries to go BKB. Like, that hero is so strong. And I think that, 3D is going to have to go for a little bit more split push play. But if Sharfik is on that Tinker, I wouldn't be terribly surprised to see a Laser Rocket build. It's been a very long time since it's been Laser Rocket. It's, fairly standard to go and see that March build. People say it's the best because it allows you to clear those Ancient Stacks, but Sharfik's play is so aggressive, and the amount of nukes that you get from Laser Rocket's tremendous. You can do a ton of damage very early on, and combined with a Bat Rider and a Shadow Demon, it's not unreasonable. Also, the laning's fairly interesting. I don't think you'll be able to long lane the Bat Rider this game, so you might see a Bat Rider jungle. Theoretically, Tinker can jungle. We saw Dai do that on... Well, he used to be on a Helium. I forget what team he's on right now, and it seems that... Okay, nope, my Dota has not in fact crashed. But the lane is going to be fairly interesting. And with a Shadow Demon, I think it's fairly safe to go and have a hero in jungle instead of forcing a tri-lane, because Shadow Demon is so good defensively.
Yeah. Now they pick up here the Nature's Prophet, kind of going for a slightly similar style. I expect to see possibly a Beastmaster ban to coincide with that, maybe even a Meepo ban, because they know what they're up against here. But either way, the fact is the Lifestealer, I mentioned that before, can infest inside the Prophet, jump out, surprise party. It's going to be a very painful death. So that's really what they can have happen with this kind of lineup. Keep It Light, adding in the recall to that, they can jump all over the place. And with the Wisp band out, that's not going to be really the best option. Now the Beastmaster off the board, Honey won't be playing the same way again. But one thing that's really interesting to note is these past couple of games have really come down much more so than usual with the mid lane and how they've been able to perform with the Storm Spirit ganking all over the place, the Beastmaster getting up those early bots and finding kills, warding up the jungle, controlling it with the Hawk. All those factors coming into play really shows that the mid, whether it's the runes or just the supports roaming on in, are able to make a huge impact on it. And I think that's mostly based on the style that we've currently seen of, okay, let both the carries farm for 10 to 12 minutes at least, and there's going to be little contest there, a little bit of pulling for the supports experience more so than anything else, and from there making sure the mid is under their belt. So I like this style. I think it's very active, and hopefully we'll see some more action with this Tinker and whoever he's up against in the mid lane. But this Bane pickup kind of is similar to the Shadow Demon with the disruption, and the Nightmare does the same thing as holding them in place to get in a good spot. But do you think it's just more hard counters to the Lifestealer, or what?
Well, it's also just more sheer nukes. Like, the amount of nuking damage on the Radiant team right now, on 3D's team, it's huge. Laser, Rocket, Brain Sap, that is going to instantly kill the Keeper of the Light. It's going to do a ton of damage to Nature's Prophet. And if you go and stack that with the amplified damage from the Shadow Demon, it's very difficult to play support against this lineup. Moreover than that, yes, his ult does go through... Wow, Storm Spirit against Bane? That's actually fairly interesting. But his ultimate does go through Lifestealer's Rage, so it's effective that way. But I think with Storm Spirit, this might actually be a counter to the Bane. What? Okay, this might be a counter to the Bane. It's very easy for Storm Spirit to cancel Bane ulti, much in the same way that Storm Spirit can cancel Enigma ulti. Phantom Assassin. What do you think about Phantom Assassin, Blaze?
This is ridiculous what they're going with here. Phantom Assassin is one of those heroes that automatically built in has tons of damage output. She just needs to survive long enough to get it out there. If she gets a good coup de grace, Lifestealer, no matter how magic immune he is, will not stand a chance against the power of her right-click damage. On top of that, she has built in the blur, the evasion. She can deal with hopefully not disconnecting out of the stream, but I do have a quick issue that should be resolved now. Anyways, the Lifestealer will get right-click down hardcore and not be able to retaliate nearly as much because of the built-in evasion. On top of that, Storm Spirit is surprisingly reliant on making sure those auto attacks land to make sure the overload procs come through. And with all these disables, really, Phantom Assassin is pretty well set up. I do like the Rubik pickup in general, but the Storm Spirit going up against the Bane, you mentioned Ball Lightning into Electric Vortex on that to interrupt. Very solid there.
Bad Rider mid. Sharfik's on that Bat Rider, so I think that, this is going to be even harder for Storm Spirit. It's not going to be a jungle bat at all. They're going to try lane the Wait, what?
I think the only way that Hani will be able to really be as aggressive as he intends to is to pick up a really early Linken's. The
Yeah.
fact is, the Fiend's Grip, the even Nightmare into Flaming Lasso, those things can wreak havoc in what he's trying
Yeah.
to do, which is jump all around, not get disabled up. There's just so much hard lockdown that Storm Spirit's a great distraction, but he needs the Linken's before he can go for the Orchid, and just has to use his stun reliably. So this is going to be a little weird, but the fact... what we're going to be looking at here, presumably we're going to see Lifestealer keep the light Rubik on the bottom lane, Nature's Prophet both in the off lane and in the jungle, just wherever he feels comfortable, which will most likely start off like we saw Trixie in the jungle there to get farmed up in early Midas and do whatever the heck he wants, and then of course Hani's going to be on the mid lane. So they have a lot of versatility in their lineup, and from there I think that they have a lot of potential, but they have to pressure this Phantom Assassin. Nexus picking that up, we've seen
Wait, was this
how...
teleport at 1?
Sorry?
Trixie went teleport at 1 instead of for the Nature's Call. This is actually fairly aggressive, looking to very early on block off that Ancient Camp to prevent any stacks coming from the Tinker. But I'm
Maybe
not...
the Easy Camp?
Yeah, maybe he'll block the Easy Camp as well to prevent Radiant Pulse, because right now he's in a terrible position if he's going for that long lane. And, you know, he can't really woods either, so...
Yeah, they
he actually
cross
just might
eyes.
be dead.
They know what's up. So that is really, really interesting play there. It does set them up for the early ward, actually getting one of those new Chikiro ward, or sorry, Lich wards, which is really, really cool. And beyond that, just blocking off the pull so that the Gyro, or sorry, wow, I don't know why gyroed. The Tinker will not be able to march them down anytime soon, and that will limit Lolico's presence. They assumed he was going to go for the jungle build. He actually is pretty well set for it with Sages and Clarities, but instead is probably going to try for mid pulls, or actually just go for the mid straight. I don't know. It's kind of awkward what they've been doing, because Sharfik is definitely their mid player. Lolico wanted to get those stacks off, and now he really doesn't have too much of a choice. They have to get like perfect Sentry Ward placement, and I think that'll do it. Yeah, that will give them...
that's fairly perfect.
If they know to cut down the trees, but yeah, until then, we're just going to see them jump on around. Hopefully they'll be able to find it out in the end. But the fact is, on top, Era, Rubik, and Fly, all going to be very, very setting him up for lots of farm. Arrow's going to be going for most likely a quick Midas, and I could imagine Trixie's going to do the same. He actually has 4 Clarities pulled to him from his buddy Fly there, so Trixie's going to be able to set himself up for success really early on. And in the meantime, Hani's going to do decently in the mid lane here, up against the Bat Rider. As soon as he gets a Magic Stick, which he already has, he's going to be perfectly fine against that Napalm Harass. And although Bat Rider is really great 1v1, I think that Storm Spirit should come out alright in this situation.
Yeah, it really depends. Hani's going to have to play very carefully, have to play very safe, but he'll do okay. He will do okay. Using that Remnant to get a couple creeps now, as soon as he gets his bottle, he'll survive the lane. I don't think he's going to win it in the way that Storm Spirit won mid game 1, but it's going to be enough for him to have that kind of impact on the mid game that he so desperately wants.
Absolutely, absolutely. In the meantime, they're kind of having trouble finding where Lolico is going to be farming up. For the time being, stacking up just the Wild Wings here to get some good hard camp spawns. But beyond that, once the Sentry expires, actually on mid, shoot, holy crap, there's a disruption coming out to set up this Firefly with 2 points in the Napalm already. Honey taking a lot of damage. Magic Stick keeping him for alive for the time being. Oh my gosh, the Nightmare went the other way. And said the Remnant will be able to get first blood for him. Will the tower be enough? No, Salve keeping him alive to allow Sharkfik to stay alive against the tower, and they do get the kill in exchange, but that was a solo kill for the Storm Spirit and first blood as well, so he's okay starting off with a bottle. He'll have to make a kind of a long walk of shame. No, he gets a TP, and he's going to be able to, with a little bit of selling action, and he'll be able to jump back in. Sharfik on low life gets cornered in by Trixie. Nice teleport movement coming out of him. They're actually going to be able to get a second kill on the board. Oh, very, very over-aggressive Bat Rider. You just got to kind of think of what the team has in their arsenal and realize they can respond very, very aggressively if they choose. So that was unfortunate for him, and 2-1 in favor of Fnatic now. I think you muted somehow.
You're right, Blaze. I was muted. Anyway, but yeah, I had to dodge the sneeze. But that was just kind of poor play from the Bat Rider, I feel there. You know, just a little bit too aggressive. He wanted to go and push the creeps into the tower so he could deny the Storm Spirit a bunch of experience. But it just was a little bit too greedy, and while I understand you want to go and keep the mid lane down, you want to keep Hani from having that kind of impact after you give him first blood, you can't get away with giving a Prophet any more experience than you already get.
Yeah, he's going to have a very quick Midas just for helping out with that kill there, as well as pretty much having uninterrupted farm in the jungle here. On top of that, a lot of people are asking in chat what Rubik is going to be able to accomplish as far as spell steals and such. But one really great thing about Rubik is you can't cover up channeled spells. So when Bane pops off of that Fiend's Grip, that's a big cooldown that the Rubik can steal right off the bat. No Tail can throw that in the other direction and disable up the enemy Phantom Assassin, which is a powerful disable they're looking for. So it adds in a lot more disable to the lineup than you'd think, taking out the enemy. And now Sharfik going aggressive here. Honey doesn't have any way of obviously ball lightning on out. Now getting Nightmare for the time being, and TP comes in from Nature's Prophet possibly, but Honey taking too much damage with those 4 napalms going to get dropped down here. So Sharfik does get that kill with the help of his buddy Bane Dread coming on in and setting him up for that. So that's doing pretty good up there, but up top, Trixie is popping off that Nature's Call, and with the Illuminate, they should be able to bring down this tower in no time at all. Fortification or not, this is inevitably going to fall, and I think that, yeah, they do have the Basilis to support it as well, so really, really early goal for their entire team right here.
Yep, definitely helping out. Remember, though, that the PA is getting complete free farm on the bot lane. We'll see what Nexus goes for here. Now, normally, you'll see a PA go for that, that Battle Fury build, but PA does so much damage in the early game, we've started to see players go for something like Phase Drums, and then maybe like a Vlad's for lifesteal, and then straight into MKB. So something that prevents the enemy from getting any kind of farm in the early game, and as soon as your PA has level 6, that's enough farm. You can just rely on crits at that point and increase your attack speed to kind of get a little bit more consistency there.
For sure, for sure. So regen picked up by Batrider for the time being, and with these pulls, it's really put Honey in a pretty poor spot. Right now, looking at his experience per minute, he's doing okay because of that solo kill early on, but he's still only at 230, and I believe the Batrider is going to be just skyrocketing ahead of him, getting that lasso way before the ball lightning comes out, and from there, Honey's going to have worse and worse opportunities. Actually, they were kind of looking for the Nightmare, and I don't think that would have been relevant, but one thing to keep in mind, like I said, when that Sentry Ward expired, put up an Observer Ward again, and right now, the Tinker only has a double stack of Ancients to work with. In the meantime, Era in a very aggressive position. Midas already available, just has to get one more last hit and head up to the Secret Chop. Sorry, I should have said the recipe, but on mid lane, they do actually dive in towards Hani, but not going to be able to clean it up too much because even with the rank 4 stacks of Napalm, actually turning it around, they can't Firefly because the trees will be or Sprout because the trees will be destroyed, but Sharfik taking a lot of right-click damage right off the bat. The Fade Bolt on cooldown. It looks like No Tail might drop with one more right-click, but Sharfik just running for the hills, now cornered in a little bit, puts out some damage into Trixie, 3 Napalm stacks, but he is getting right-click down himself. The overload enough, they're going to be able to finish off Sharfik right there. Really nice for them. Dread will not fall, but it was an extensive dive, committing 2 heroes, and instead they turn it around for 1 for free. That puts Hani in a much better situation than he was prior to this.
Yeah, I think that here, Fnatic's just showing their skill at playing with their Nature's Prophet, always having that +1, very well, utilizing his skills, basically to the optimum. He's farming very well, and he's participated in, 2 out of their 3 kills. So he's just doing a great job. And with that Midas up, it's only going to get worse, and I feel that 3D, they might just not be that used to playing against Nature's Prophet anymore. It's not a very common pick, and their kind of aggressive style.
Ooh, Electric Vortex, a lot of damage with that Wrath of Nature. Sharfik is going to go down here. Nice damage coming out. Hani's pretty low, but he will be able to just bottle up and walk away. And one thing I want to note, guys, I just realized that I didn't put a ticker on the left side here. This is Game 3. It is 1-1 on both sides here, so all in all, this is the game that's going to count and be the most relevant here. That's why they're obviously playing at their highest potential, with the intention to anyways, but Phantom Assassin picking up some treads, Era putting some damage on the tower, both carries being very proactive, but obviously we're seeing most of the action coming in between these heroes in the mid lane, and until Storm Spirit hits 6, that'll remain to be the case. As soon as they don't have the opportunity to actually hardcore gank him, unless they have huge amounts of lockdown, I feel that Hani is going to be able to get out of most tough spots when he can just manage his mana more appropriately.
Yeah, also we see Phantom Assassin going for treads. This is a little bit uncommon. Phases are pretty much the boot of choice right now, but I suppose it just comes down to the fact they want a little bit more HP going against heroes like this Coddle, like the Storm Spirit, and the Nature Prophet ulti. So good change in itemization from what would be a standard build.
For sure. So right now, Sharfik is not doing too hot. Wants to move in towards that Blink Dagger really quickly. Some can get it by easily before the 15-minute mark, but right now he's in a position where he's... Oh my gosh, he pops the last one on Illusion.
No.
Holy crap, that sucks so hard. Big cooldown, big mana, put up the Soul Catcher, had so many Napalm stacks, and instead, Sharfik just wastes pretty much an instant kill cooldown on a very, very... Oh, I would be so pissed off right now. That is very unfortunate. Illuminate coming out. Gonna harass him back. Telekinesis to pull him back in. The Electric Vortex to follow, and Sharfik will probably take a dive here. Oh, so painful. So he does get disrupted up. I'm not sure if that was going to be too much relevant, but either way, it does clean him up. Batrider's down, dodging out the missiles, getting a nice double overload off, trying to finish off Dread with this Remnant. One more ball of Lightning. They need to finish it off. A lot of tower damage coming in, but Dread should fall with his last right click, and Lolico, without any laser, won't be able to clean it up. Arrow coming on in. Lolico, again, now in a bad spot. He really has no escape mechanism, and that's going to be a 3-kill swing. Fnatic just taking charge right here. Really, really smooth.
Yeah, I think here Fnatic just showing their experience. Ice Climbers, back when they were Ice Climbers, 3D played a very aggressive style, and there are not many teams that can deal with it because you just keep putting the aggression on. But Fnatic's just gone and shown great rotations coming from their supports, fantastic defensive play from Hani, great baits with that illusion, and the Ice Climber's strategy of just providing a lot of pressure on the map and giving Nexus time to farm, it's just not working out that well, and Nexus himself is going to take the fall.
Yeah, he was diving very aggressively. He was expecting 2 coup de grace out of that, but instead Fly just pops off, blinding lights him away, and he falls right into the hands of No Tail, which I gotta say, they're just showing how amazing their map awareness is, where they can say, okay, well, something's going on, I can coordinate with my allies, and I can say, we can outposition them and outplay them, and teleports in with the Nature's Prophet or on the tower itself are setting them up, and it's just been very, very effective. Now, Sharky really wants to get this kill on Trixie. I think he will be able to do so with that Flame Break pulling him back in. One more Napalm and one more right click, and that's all she wrote on that one. But all in all, it still is a little bit less than what they were intending. 2-4-1 on their very kill-oriented mid, and in the meantime, there is actually a kill that I missed on bottom, just picking off the Shadow Demon. Now Nexus going on in with that Soul Catcher up. Hani taking a ton of damage, blood spewing everywhere, but they're just going to fall back from there.
Man, one thing, if they've changed Storm Spirit's crit animation, because they have been looking to custom crit animations for PA on different heroes, I would love to see a bolt of lightning coming out, so please, Valve, you can do that. In the meantime, PA is just not having a great time. I think this is going to be, I don't think it's going to be a Battle Fury PA, because you would have seen the Ring of Health by now, it's just so useful in the laning phase, but what kind of item is going to allow 3D to come back, because Fnatic's in a domineering position.
I mean, the BKB could help to an extent,
yeah.
But all in all, we still have to worry about the lasso and the Fiend's Grip, which can be stolen by Rubik, which can be just so promising here. So Nexus might just go for something simple like a Battle Fury and try to dish out a lot of damage really quickly and sustain himself, but all in all, we'll have to see if that's going to be large enough impact. He is a great, able to carry very effectively. He can get the farm where he needs it, but with the pressure Fnatic's putting out, it's going to be difficult for him one way or another. And now Sharkfeet does get a little bit of a reprieve here with this invisibility rune. He should be able to get a nice pick off on somebody like the Rubik, but the Sentry Ward comes out.
Is there anything going on? Because top lane, there's going to be an Infest gank?
No. Era's just keeping his HP up, not worrying about it too much. But I love the Sentry Ward picked up by No Tail right here. It allows him to have vision. If Batrider comes in, thinks he's safe, and then gets pulled out of position, they get a Nature's Prophet TP, and suddenly action's happening. But Storm Spirit getting pulled down, but leave to bottom lane to go aggressive. Nice recall, teleport in, and the ball lightning comes on through Nexus. A little bit too late on the uptake, and he's going to get dropped down here. Too much damage. Really, really nice movement, and they just are completely coordinated. They always say, okay, well, let's do this. We'll recall down, we'll TP this guy. Nature Prophet's always there anyways, and suddenly, all you need is a single Keep to the Light to make a full global TP gank.
Yeah, it's like a build your old pit lord, is what I meant to say earlier. Yeah, and that hero is like...
Hani taking the lasso, but Charf should drop down here, no problem. Yeah. And Dread can't really do too much to retaliate. So, oh my gosh, it's just really good control from their team in general.
Oh yeah, they're putting on a clinic here. This is how you kind of play with these global heroes. And to an extent, if when Snake starts infesting and decides he wants to come join the party, it is going to be a full 5 men in the fight. One interesting thing to note is the item that Hani's going to go for next, it's probably not going to be a Bloodstone build. We'd see Arcane Boots for that traditional G build. It seems like instead a Staff of Wizardry. A Staff of Wizardry on Storm Spirit. What do you think he's going for here?
I don't exactly know.
Dagon? Needs to be Dagon?
I mean, I'm not honestly even seeing it, but is it on the... Okay, yeah, he put it in the stash so that the courier could be used. But anyway, Staff of Wizardry, a lot of different options there. Could be going for a Yule's. I mean, that could be rather promising for able to get a good position, kind of using it similar to the Nightmare or the Disruption to get outplay on the Phantom Assassin.
Meanwhile, bot lane.
Yeah, Solo getting kind of picked off right here, just finding the opportunity, sprouting him on in, no way for him to get out of there, and the support's trying to farm their own jungle and be in a good spot, and instead, just these wards, they understanding from the opposition. They're able to get some good pickoffs here. And I don't know what Nexus thinks he's doing. That's up against 3. Ball Lightning comes through. They do get enough for a Vortex. No, he has to pop off a bottle charge in order to get it. And then now he does finally manage to do so. But Nexus being pulled in, lots of burst damage, can only jump to his ally. And from here, they easily get a cleanup on the Bane. Now for Nexus, Era jumping in with that Infest to make sure he's locked down. And this tier 2 should be really easy kill for this point in time.
Yeah, and actually, you know, I do believe this is going to be a Dagon on Hani. Dagon's one of those items that provides a little bit more burst damage, and that's all they need to make sure that people instantly die. It goes from being, you know, changing Storm Spirit from a setup here to a build your own Nyx Assassin.
Yeah, could be very effective there.
Yeah.
It's just a nice little defensive disruption, but it's not enough to keep Sharpik alive. He's going to get right-clicked on down, and Hani just ignores the first person, knows that'll be finished off by his allies, and from there goes on to finish off the secondary individual. And yeah, if they do get a Dagon, the one big thing is Phantom Assassin, most of her effective HP is based on her high armor, her substantial agi gain, and her evasion. So she's very physical, DPS mitigating, but the fact is if there's enough magic burst damage, she doesn't stand a chance. So Dagon seems reasonable. It's a very snowball item, and getting it only 13.5 minutes into the game will set them up to just finish off this PK in situations where she would otherwise never die. So I think it's a solid pickup if they want to push and win this game a little bit early on, which seems to be the intent based on their momentum right now.
Yeah, I think that, you know, they wouldn't mind this game going longer. They have the lineup to let this game go longer, but when you're in this kind of dominating lead, 16-3, you've not lost a tower and you've taken 3 towers off your own. You know, why drag the game out? Why drag the game out when you can just end it? Also, look at this Lifestealer's farm. He got that Midas at a very good timing. He's already got the armlet. He's going to maybe 3-shot that poor Shadow Demon who's sitting at 600 HP.
Yeah, now that we do see initiation on Era, there is that Flaming Lasso pulling him back for the time being. He turns around and says, okay, I can right-click you down. He needs to get this Infest off. 2 seconds left. He's going to try, but he's not going to manage the armlet toggle, unfortunately for him. So he gets dropped down. There is that Hani's just trying to get a good position with that regen rune, but all in all, there are just too many heroes here. The buyback from the Nakes, he's going to go in. Sharpik does not have that Flaming Lasso in, so they're going to try to finish off. They get the kill on the Rubik. Now coming in, Hani, Dagon pops it off on Rubik, finishes him off really quickly, and now wants to try to go and clean up for more. Still has that regen rune flowing, but it's about to expire, and he just has to let it go.
Yep, I think also we saw the reason that fight even took as long as it did was because the Keeper of the Light was able to get a great blinding light off on the Phantom Assassin, which just allowed the Nakes to survive a little bit longer. In the end, it didn't matter, but it just goes to show how strong Keeper of the Light is against all these melee right-click carries. It's very, very difficult for them to deliver their payload. And again, part of PA survivability is the fact that once she picks up lifesteal, oh my god, this PA had to go Vanguard, that's really sad. But once, oh, PAs also might just die to a Dagon combo here.
Yeah, that's too much damage. Ball Lightning, a couple right clicks, but the Phantom Strike enabling him to get on out.
Yeah.
And he'll just have to walk away from there. So not getting the solo kill, but even forcing Nexus to... he's just going to go farming. Vanguard is a pretty good tank item in general. If he follows that up with a cloak, he'll be okay for surviving those solo burst ganks at the very least. Or he can just move in towards that BKB. Either way, he's in a position where he can handle the jungle very effectively. It's just who is constantly monitoring it that he has to worry about. And actually, with this dire ward here, it looks like the Western camp won't be respawning anytime soon. So that, all in all, is allowing... oh my gosh, big smoke gang coming on in. They're going to start this off. Dread in a terrible spot. Telekinesis, going to get right-clicked on down, no problem at all. Does a nightmare to delay it, but Wrath of Nature coming on through. Trixie going to finish that off. Hani going in, looking for some opportunity on mid. But Tinker TPing on out. He does, I wanted to say this a little earlier, but he did finally get his boots of travels. And all in all, 14-15 minutes bots, not too bad on Tinker, but at this pace of the game, they needed a lot sooner, or they just needed a lot more for the lineup. So Tinker being pinned in, and now Hani going in on 2, double pop-off on the overloads, and now with that quick electric vortex, you see Shadow Demon drop down, no problem.
In the meantime, Furion's treants were just enough to go and get that top tower. They're just putting pressure on every single lane in the map, and I don't know what to... Oh, Sharpik, if Sharpik goes down, this is going to be tragic.
Oh, wow, yeah, completely caught out right here, and that was a really nice play to just finish him off. Did you catch how that started? Sorry, my camera was elsewhere.
Oh, Rubik just was able to lift him.
Got it.
Rubik was able to get lift off, and that was just too much. It's just the positioning on the Radiant team has to be so precise when you're playing against heroes with instant casts, such as the Rubik, that you just need to be in the right place at the right time. And Bad Rider was fairly close to the Blink Dagger, and I think that, you know, he really, really should have just waited out. But the problem is they can't really wait it out that much longer because the Nakes is so much further ahead than the PA, and while Vanguard is a good tanky item, it just helps Nakes out.
Fiend's Grip out on fly. They should finish him off. Only need 1 crit, but now it's just going to be the Fiend's Grip to finish him off. In the meantime, Lifesteal wants to go on Nexus, popping off the defensive disruption. Solo pops off the Purge, but on Hani, who also gets nightmared up for the time being. A lot of damage coming on through, but with that banish, It's just going to delay the inevitable as Nexus is going to take a fall. Almost brings down the Nature's Prophet with him, popping off the Shadow Blade to keep himself alive. And they call it a good game. That is it. That is this Game 3 of this best of 3 series, and it goes away. Fnatic, really, really awesome play in general by their team. And Hani, ball so hard it isn't funny.
Yeah, dude. This Hani just like, I think that this game we got to see my favorite kind of Storm Spirit. Not in this game, but in this series, right? We just got to see two very hyper-aggressive Storm Spirits that just wanted to put a ton of pressure on the map from a very early game, not going for that kind of carry-oriented build with a Bloodstone and playing for the super late game. The Storm Spirit does a ton of damage in the early game just through overload procs, and the fact that his Electric Vortex sets up so well for Static that, you know, he can do a huge amount of burst damage. But in general, I think this series was won by the tremendous support play from Fnatic's lineup. They always came to defend their mid lane and did not let 3D get the advantage they're so accustomed to in their games. They punished 3D's aggressive, diving-oriented playstyle by always making sure there was a +1 on Fnatic's team.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been a Premier League presentation. I'm happy to be able to cast this game up for you. Ended a little abruptly, but it's just about the fact that they controlled the early game so well, and that's been true for most of these games here. The mid lane has been where it's been at, and Batrider, who generally is considered one of the more powerful 1v1 heroes, getting denied that Blink Dagger so many times over, really made it so that they couldn't initiate, and instead it was all about Fnatic being where they wanted to be, and they built teams like that. I definitely think that heroes like Nature's Prophet are something that you could easily see in the ban pool again against teams who utilize it in this fashion. Trixie Nature's Prophet really was, I mean, he allowed it so that one big thing about the TPs on towers is that they do get staggered the more people you try to commit to something, but with Nature's Prophet you can easily 3 seconds later have 3 people going in against a 1 or a 2 man gank. So it can be very effective in that regard, and I think they played it very nicely with Trixie on this Prophet. So all in all, nice action, and you guys can actually check out the Facebook page and vote for your MVP there for who you think. We'll have that up in a bit, but in the meantime, I'm going to try to get a post-game interview with No-Tail, if you can. Yeah, No-Tail will be in for the interview in just a minute, guys, and then we'll field them some questions. If you guys, if it's a 2-minute delay, so it might be too late, you'll see it in the chat, but if you guys have some questions for No-Tail, field it in the chat. We'll pick some good ones and throw them at him. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, and you guys have a good one.
Oh, yeah, cheers. Great audience.